Welcome to the Michael Brooks Show live stream. Folks, we do these sometimes at 6 o'clock before the main show to cover important topics and people that we can't always get to on the other show. But these are obviously another really important part of the content we do. Hit us with a super chat donation that helps us with the YouTube end of things. And of course, go to patreon.com/TMBS for the whole thing. I'm very happy right now to be joined by Kim Ives. He's a journalist and editor at Haiti Liberté. Kim, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Michael.
So Kim, let's work backwards. And I want to hit some historical moments that we've talked about before on the show. But there's been ongoing demonstrations in Haiti against the current government. My understanding would be by extension, the United States, by the whole sort of colonial arrangement and ongoing subjugation of Haiti. And also, the other component of this is there's a global pattern here. Iraq, Lebanon, Ecuador, Chile. What's been happening in Haiti? What are these protests about? And are they taking aim at the whole political class and the foreign presence?
Well, yes, you are correct to presume that it is very anti-imperialist in its outlook. In fact, one of the biggest marches back at the beginning of October was the day after the Security Council had a quote-unquote brainstorming session on Haiti. And the very next day, on October 4th, tens and thousands marched on the UN mission down in Haiti to say, don't bring your troops back. Basically, Haiti had been occupied by a varying number of troops since 2004, when they were deployed after the overthrow of President Jean-Bertrand Aristide on February 29th, 2004. And the troops were supposed to be there for 6 months. They ended up being there, as we can see, for 15 years. And so finally, on October 15th, the UN contingent that was still there was about 1,300 policemen and women left the country. So Haitians are definite about one thing: no more U.S. troops and no more UN troops in Haiti. Now, right now, as we speak, there have been some reports of UN troops accompanying a shipment of medicine and humanitarian aid to Haiti, and people are very vexed about that, very worried about that. So we'll see. But yes, this is an uprising against the capitalist system. We have even seen the president, Jovenel Moise, whose head is on the chopping block. He has complained about the system. Of course, he hasn't specified what system it is. He's just made a general cry about the problem is the system, not me, it's the system. So everybody sees it as a systemic crisis. Even the president is forced to admit as much, even though he's using it in a loose and undefined way. But the people are clear. They're tired of the colonial and neo-colonial thumb that's been on their Adam's apple, on their neck for these past few decades in particular, but really for the 2 centuries. And they've had enough. This is a very, very profound revolution, and I think that we're going to see a period of very fluid political status for the next couple of years. There's going to be provisional government after provisional government once this one falls, and I think it will be leading this worldwide firestorm that you alluded to, because the Haitian people have really been probably one of the most targeted of all in this hemisphere, at least, for the past 50 years, at least.
I want to get back to what that looks like, and that would be, pretty extraordinary and make a lot of sense given the overarching reality of Haitian history if that turns out to be the case. But can you give us at least some of the modern version of this story? Obviously, there's so many different elements. I mean, if you need to go back to the beginning, if you need to touch on the Duvalier years, sure, go whatever direction you want. But I'm wondering if you told the stories of President Jean-Bertrand Aristide and the presidency of Sweet Mickey, would those two stories and all of the international reverberations around them, would that give people a good understanding as the sort of lens to get to all of the issues that we're dealing with in Haiti today?
Yes, they're sort of the bookends of this current period. I mean, let's just take a quick step back 2 centuries to the original Haitian Revolution, which, it has to be said, Michael, is one of the most influential, important, dramatic revolutions of all history. I mean, along with France in 1789, Russia in 1917, Cuba in 1915, Haiti's 1804 revolution was one of the great social revolutions. And we should just define for people when we make a difference between a social revolution and a political revolution. A political revolution is a fairly common occurrence. That's when, the government has a major shift, a major change. That's what happened when Aristide took power in 1990, or when he was elected in 1990. That was a political revolution. It was the first time that the people's candidate, the popular candidate, was elected into power. And so this really knocked the wind out of the U.S. and the Haitian elite, the Haitian ruling class, because they'd never seen such a thing. They'd never imagined such a thing was possible. But as a political revolution, it was limited because it didn't change the property relations in the country. It didn't take the land from the big landowners or the factories from the bourgeoisie, or drive out the U.S. Neocolonialist power that was embedded around the country and in the country. So it was soon overthrown in coup d'etat 7 months after Aristide was inaugurated in February 1991. And that began really this period that we've known for the past 28 years of just constant problems. And essentially, if I can summarize it, what happened was they said, okay, elections are going to solve your problems. And the people said, great, then we're going to elect Aristide. And they elected him twice, in 1990 and 2000. But each time, the U.S. Had to overthrow the government of Aristide because that was the wrong choice. They weren't supposed to elect that president. And finally, they got sort of savvy and said, okay, the people are going to keep electing Aristide unless we fix the election, unless we really change it. So that's how in 2010, they came in, and that was Hillary Clinton, I think, as we spoke on the last time we talked, went down and told then President René Préval, who held the 2010 election, she said, the result you had of basically your protege, a guy called Jude Celestin and Mirlan Manigat, is not the right result. We need Michel Martelly, Sweet Mickey, in the mix. And Préval, as was his wont, bent over for her and took out his guy and put in Sweet Mickey, who then went on to win the election. That began this period of rule of the PHTK, which stands for the Haitian Bald-Headed Party. That was sort of Sweet Mickey's trademark, was his bald head. And which also means in Creole sort of headlong when you say tête calée. And so it began a period of what we called neo-Duvalierist rule, just complete corruption, repression, cynicism, excess. It was obscene, and it was all fueled, ironically, by a deal that Preval had made with Venezuela in 2008 called the Petro-Caribe deal, which was where Haiti received all its oil that it needed, about 20,000 barrels a day. And it only had to pay 60% up front. 40% went into a capital fund called the Petro-Caribe Fund, which ended up having about $2 billion in it. Well, this $2 billion was essentially burned through by the government of Sweet Mickey Michel Martelly. So in a way, the U.S., who inserted him, killed two birds with one stone. They knocked out the whole sort of Lavalas and junior varsity Lavalas, which Preval was, governments which had alternated from 1990 through 2010. And they brought in the PHTK ones, which basically made the government completely Washington-centric again. But also they gutted and gave a bad name to the Petro-Caribe deal, which was one of the most exemplary cases of solidarity that you can imagine. Here were the Venezuelans, in a case of South-South solidarity, giving Haitians and 17 other countries all their oil needs at incredible prices and with incredible credit. Basically, the Haitians didn't have to pay back the 40% that they kept of revenues for 25 years at 1% interest. So in any case, they burned through this, and now with that money, they got Jovenel Moïse, the current president, PHTK also elected. And this guy ended up, in a way, holding the bag when the whole thing fell, because one of the first things that Trump did when he came into office was slap incredible sanctions on Venezuela. So now Haiti could not, its central bank could not send payments for the Petro-Caribe gas to Venezuela. So basically the Petro-Caribe deal was crushed by Trump. Right. And part of the collateral damage was that Jovenel Moïse ended up kind of holding the bag. Nothing worked. All his promises fell flat on their faces. And as a result, the people are rising up. They said, this is it. And the worst of it, just to finish, is that the Trump administration leaned on Moïse to flip in January of this year to voting against Venezuela in the OAS. Haiti had been voting with Venezuela, defending Maduro, but in January they said, Nicolas Maduro, he's not legitimate, and Washington has been trying to support him with, this official or that passing through Port-au-Prince every week. There's somebody else, but that's was seen that knife in the back of Venezuela was seen by the Haitian people as just a tremendous betrayal.
Right. You're going to portray a government that provided us with an incredible act of solidarity, and this was a major part of Chavez's regional bloc strategy. And it should be. I mean, Guy even gave low-income people in the United States cheap oil during a period of time. You're going to loot that fund, destroy it, and then collaborate with the subhuman that called us a shithole country to try to have regime change in the country that gave us the loan initially. I mean, that's disgusting. I just want to tag a few more things on here because you ran us through a lot of really good information. I just want to tag a few things. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jean-Bertrand Aristide was a liberation theologist who became president. obviously he had his own compromises, his own difficulties in governing, and there's other aspects in terms of Haitian internal politics. Sweet Mickey was a pop star who was very close with the old Duvalier and military regimes, and also my understanding would be like drug cartels, that type of interest.
Correct.
And when you say neo-Duvalierist, are you talking about a kind of combination, if I read it correctly, that Duvalier is incredibly corrupt, oligarchic, tight with gangster military and also CIA, U.S. Policy elements, and then there's a certain politics of like cultural pride or signifying that has nothing connected to changing material conditions?
Yes. Well, to define it in the most, I could say, scientific terms possible, the Duvalierists, Francois Papadoc Duvalier, elected in 1957, represented one of Haiti's two ruling classes. Those two ruling classes are, on the one hand, the big landowners known as the Grandons, and on the other hand, the comprador bourgeoisie, which is the import-export bourgeoisie. Francois Duvalier basically represented the Grandons, and the Grandons are very reactionary. They're even to the right, we could say, of the U.S. because they're really, when I say to the right, they're so resistant to any change. They're basically feudal. They call them semi-feudals in Haiti, and they use essentially serfs. That's what the peasants who work their land are, and they pay a tithe, like they did in the 14th century in Europe, to the Grandons, who works in concert with the comprador bourgeoisie, who would export the sugar or cocoa or whatever they were producing. Now, that comprador bourgeoisie has moved more as Haitian agriculture has been crushed by the U.S. behemoth, dumping of rice, dumping of everything, and a lot of it done through the Dominican Republic. It has changed more into an assembly factory bourgeoisie, because all the peasants that were working the land now have had to go to the cities. Port-au-Prince 3 decades ago was about 800,000 people. Now it's over 3 million. So all those people are just a huge labor force, which this bourgeoisie uses to put together our clothing and electronics and so forth, when Haiti's functioning, not like now. So in short, Duvalierists, just going back to your original layout, was means the regime of Francois Duvalier, which was basically protected by a paramilitary force called the Tonton-Macoutes. Most people have heard of these, the Volontaires de la Sécurité Nationale, the National Volunteers for Security, who were basically the eyes, ears, and fists of the government, and, did just terribly arbitrary and brutal, machine gunning families, burning down houses, all kinds of things. So their terror became synonymous with what is Duvalierism, but they kind of merged in the mid 80s when Jean-Claude Papadoc's son came into power with the bourgeoisie. Baby Doc had gone to school with all the bourgeois kids, and he married a bourgeois princess, one of the daughters of one of the big bourgeois. And so he kind of started to meld these two classes together. And so that's the neo-Duvalierist. So scientifically speaking, it is really a mixture of the old Grandon Macoutic Duvalierists with the bourgeois Duvalierists, and it makes this just terribly toxic mix class-wise, which has been at the base of the Martelly power and the Jovenel Moïse power.
in terms of what's happening now and whatever elements we're talking about, I mean, my understanding is that Aristide is actually back in Haiti, but basically out of politics. There's the global dimension that we've talked about before, and your suggestion that echoing the incredible history of Haiti, that maybe Haiti itself will actually be at the forefront of a new wave of, I mean, it's overused, but let's just say the neoliberal system, countering that, countering capitalism, countering neocolonialism. What is the political formation in Haiti like today, and how do you see that movement, Haiti's leading role in it globally?
Well, this is, of course, the biggest problem in Haiti right now is there isn't really a revolutionary vanguard party leading it there yet. It still has to emerge, which is a little bit like the 1804 revolution, which began in 1791 on the plantations in the north of the country. And it went through several iterations and generations of leaders who were kind of rose and were cut down or betrayed and so forth until about 4-5 years after the beginning of it, Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines, who ended up becoming sort of the founding fathers, emerged. So we're in a little bit of the same period. This is the second great Haitian social revolution, which I think we're in the opening salvos of right now, because whatever happens, the Haitians are not going to accept, as they say in Creole, beurre pour manteig, the butter for margarine. It's kind of bad because in Haiti, considered butter was not as good as margarine, but we'll leave that aside. But you'll pas prendre beurre pour manteig. They won't take butter for margarine, so they are definitely going all the way this time, I think. If my read of the population is any measure.
And just to be clear, you were just there, so
yes.
It's your analysis, but you're there frequently and spend a great deal of time in Haiti.
Right, yes. And I've been going to Haiti since 1977, basically to cover these uprisings that have been going. So I've seen it from the Duvalier dictatorship up through today. And it has been just quite a roller coaster. So we can really say this revolution began in '86 with the downfall of the Duvalier regime, which let one genie out of the bottle, which resulted in Aristide. They stamped out Aristide, and another even more powerful genie came out, and that's what we see today. And I think in many ways, like I'm looking at Chile.
Yep.
Chile, I mean, you remember the uprisings that happened in the period around Pinochet in the beginning. I mean, of course, they were savagely and bloodily crushed. But today there are 10,000 Haitians who ended up going to Chile. I cannot imagine, and I would like very much to go there and speak to some of those Haitians, that they haven't had some influence in this and are not out there in the streets as well. But you have an incredible Haitian diaspora throughout Latin America, Brazil, Ecuador, Chile, Argentina. Their Haitians have gone everywhere, and I think they're almost like seeds spreading revolution, because Haiti is the original revolution of this hemisphere. It was the first independent nation of Latin America, and it was the original boogeyman for the slave republic in the north, that is the U.S., which, as Gerald Horne says, had its counter-revolution in 1776.
Kim Ives, I appreciate your time immensely. I recommend we'll have a link to all the ways that people can follow your work and read the indispensable Haiti Liberté. And, I mean, apropos, Haiti Liberté, Godspeed and solidarity. Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Take care. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right, folks. We are going to be back live for the main show in about 30 minutes. Adolph Reed Jr. Incredible conversation. So proud of it. And the mega talented Abby Martin. She makes her debut tonight on TMBS. See you soon.